Hey allihopa! Hi everyone! Dragunilla here! You might be wondering, why is this pink dragon VTuber who usually talks about new age scams suddenly talking about a political podcast? Well, it actually makes a lot of sense. Let me explain. The reason I started this channel at all was simple. I can't stand people who knowingly hurt others in serious ways with lies and empty promises. That is exactly why I support the China Show. This podcast gives a voice to those living under some of the most oppressive and harmful systems in the world. It aligns perfectly with my personal mission to call out deception and advocate for truth, no matter the topic. If you're curious about my personal political stance, here's a quick rundown. First, I'm not American. Second, I'm somewhere firmly in the middle of the spectrum. Let's get something straight before we start. When I say China, I am not talking about the rich and diverse history of the region we now call China. For thousands of years, this land has been home to countless civilizations, each contributing incredible achievements in philosophy, art, science, and more. It's a region shaped by a vast and varied heritage, and it hasn't always been unified under one identity, certainly not the country we know today. What I am talking about is specifically today's the People's Republic of China, or PRC, a 75-year-old totalitarian regime founded by Mao Zedong and ruled by the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP. This government has caused immense harm, especially to the people under its control, while systematically suppressing the culture and history that made this region so extraordinary in the first place. It is essential to not conflate but separate the actions of a modern authoritarian regime from the rich and complex heritage of the people it rules, just as we should critique any oppressive government regardless of race, ethnicity or nationality. I will not tolerate any racism in the comments. Anyway, so... do you remember the catastrophic subway flooding in Zhengzhou, Henan back in 2021? Probably not. Despite 91 subway trains being destroyed and countless passengers trapped or worse, the event barely made a ripple in international news. And what about the massive flooding in the Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei region in August 2023, where 6-meter-high water submerged entire towns and left Tiananmen Square underwater? Again, likely off your radar. The reason is simple. These disasters happened under the rule of Xi Jinping, who uses his power to keep a tight lid on any news that doesn't fit his preferred narrative. In Zhengzhou, officials reported just 14 deaths from the subway flood, a number that, to say the least, strains credulity given the scale of the disaster. The government swiftly removed the damaged trains, covering windows with black fabric to hide whatever was inside. Public memorials, flowers laid by grieving families that would indicate that maybe more than 14 people died, were quickly walled off or removed. The same pattern followed with a 4-kilometer-long car tunnel where vehicles were trapped back to back. Doing the math suggests that at least 5,000 people drowned in their cars in just that tunnel. Yet, the total official death toll for the entire flooded region was a staggeringly low 302 deaths and 50 missing. In the 2023 flood affecting hundreds of thousands, the official count was an even more astonishing 81 deaths. Mourning was suppressed and any visible signs of grief or protest were erased from public view. The Chinese Communist Party's approach isn't just about suppressing bad news and pretending like tragedies never happen. It's about maintaining an illusion of infallibility, acknowledging failures like inadequate flood drainage, corruption in infrastructure projects, or a lack of rescue efforts would tarnish the image of a government that strives to appear omnipotent.
新卢沟桥上，现在咱们看到的位置就是小清河桥。
Hold on, yeah, let's point this out. I was translating this, right? I was like, wait a minute. Look at, see the XXX on the screen?
Yes.
They're
if you look-
blocking out, and by the way, a lot of these clips were removed, period.
Yes.
But they were blocking out the name of the bridge in the subtitles.
Yeah, he cannot say the name in his subtitles because it's being completely censored.
Yes.
Now, that is the same bridge that you saw earlier,
Yeah.
where the 6 or 7 cars, the one guy witnessed getting...
Just in that one.
Yeah. And you can see there's a car still, their car's still on there.
You cannot believe this.
Okay,
I'm sorry. You
so-
cannot believe what happened here.
Imagine you're the Chinese government, okay?
yes.
Now you got to send out your rescue workers because
Right.
this bridge is collapsed.
Yes.
But what does the Chinese government do?
What do you guys think? This is a live show, right, guys? What do you think was their priority? And you can get a hint from the fact that the bridge name was subtitles were removed.
Yeah, they removed. You can't even say the name of this bridge.
Let's have a look.
Yeah.
就是这个水呢过来之后，水势太大了，然后这个桥呢发生了被看。现在这几辆车没有掉下去啊，真是捡着了，祖上保佑了哈。那么这边的噪音是从哪儿传来的呢？噪音是这个啊，噪音是这个装了这个遮挡的板，这个遮挡板呢，就是遮挡板吧啊。希望所有看到这个视频的人都平平安安的、顺顺利利的、逢凶化吉啊！
Did you see that? I hope everybody saw that. Rather than go and actually address the problem, they send the people out to put up these barriers on the side so nobody can see it.
They physically censored the bridge collapse so people don't think that a bridge collapsed.
And as a side note, in case of floods and natural catastrophes, there is also a little thing called the mandate of heaven. A traditional concept where natural disasters are seen as signs that a ruler has lost divine favor, a superstition that modern leaders very much prefer to avoid triggering. Anyway, the language barrier only amplifies this information blackout. For non-Mandarin speakers, accessing reliable information about these events is a Herculean task, especially when the state controls all media and heavily censors online discourse. This makes it easier for the CCP to present a sanitized version of reality to both domestic and international audiences. Western media often seems surprisingly lenient toward China too, even as it goes against what everyone else does in critical areas such as expanding its coal power plants at a rate unmatched by any other country. In fact, the PRC is frequently applauded for its green technology initiatives. For instance, headlines often praise China for leading the world in renewable energy capacity, while glossing over the fact that it's also the largest emitter of greenhouse gases and responsible for over half of the world's coal consumption. All this while pollution in China is so severe that over 80% of the groundwater is unsafe for human contact, and natural greenery and wild animals are becoming increasingly rare under smoggy skies with nightmarish air quality index ratings. But the CCP's suppression is absolutely not limited to natural disasters and environmental issues. Topics like the ongoing genocide of Muslim Uyghurs in Xinjiang, the lack of mental health care leading to violent incidents such as mass stabbings and mass vehicular homicide that are now so common that little kids are being taken on class trips to learn how to dodge murderous drivers.
让这辆车追我试一下，我看到车了，我向一侧跑。如果这辆车它向我冲撞，目标是我的话，它改变方向的速度仍然比我跑的速度要快，对吗？那么正确的应该是怎么样的？当这辆车向我疯狂的行驶，准备向我撞击的时候，注意看我要怎么做。注意看，向车辆斜后方进行逃离。跑。
And debates over the origins of a recent global health crisis are all aggressively censored. And don't you dare say that Xi Jinping looks like Winnie the Pooh, that's super banned! For real, that's banned. Critics outside of China often face wolf warrior diplomacy tactics. Aggressive posturing intended to intimidate and silence dissent to protect trade relationships. The fact that the Chinese government prioritizes censorship and control over implementing basic protections, such as laws against domestic abuse and animal cruelty, which currently don't exist in China, speaks volumes about their real priorities. In this context, platforms like The China Show become invaluable. Hosted by Matthew Tye and Winston Sterzel, who lived in China for over a decade each and both speak Chinese, they expose the hypocrisies and issues that the Chinese government would rather keep hidden. They witnessed firsthand how the initial promise of progress and openness in the 2000s shifted under Xi Jinping's leadership, reporting based on their own experiences as opposed to relying on other people's accounts. Matt and Winston's work offers an unfiltered glimpse into a nation where strict censorship is the norm. They give a voice to those silenced within China while providing the outside world with a clearer perspective. Despite the dangers of exposing the misdeeds of a government infamous for targeting and silencing its critics, they continue their mission. It also helps that Matt and Winston have fantastic chemistry, blending entertaining banter with funny clips to lighten the mood and make complex information more accessible. Their approach is perfect for viewers who don't have the patience for traditional, dry news shows. Beyond the podcast, they've had quite a journey together, traveling across China, creating 2 documentary series about their adventures in the late 2010s, and even running a Chinese custom motorcycle shop and a car repair YouTube channel. Now they keep the energy going on The China Show. So, if you want to stay informed about what's really happening behind the Great Firewall, keep up with China's geopolitical moves and stay updated on Chinese news, politics and memes. I highly recommend checking out The China Show, yay! If you catch it live, there is a great chance you'll see me hanging out in chat. Come say hi! 5 p.m. EST on Fridays. And if you love China and, like me, can't stand the oppressive Chinese Communist Party, be sure to smash that like button, drop a comment and maybe even subscribe. Taiwan is a country!